Good morning. Let me explain what you're about to see with this video. Yesterday, I sat down with Major George Filer, who was the only civilian who has ever been allowed to brief four-star generals on UFOs. Now, Robert Schief and I have been working together with the Major, and we did a couple of phone interviews and the sound wasn't as quality. Relax, we're going to go back over everything he said, not right now in this one, but we are doing a series with the Major because his knowledge is just astonishing. His experience is amazing. And he was right there with the four-star general and talking UFOs and the Navy and the Army involvement with UFOs. He was over in Europe flying the tankers with the British, and they were chasing UFOs. And they talked to Prince Philip about that. Prince Philip knew about the UFO. His knowledge, his experience is invaluable. Well, I was trying to get him hooked up to the StreamYard yesterday so that we could have him on camera so that he could talk in the microphone and it would be a better quality, right? So before I started recording, I walked him through it and we got it all set up to where he can come on StreamYard, and we got gabbing, we got talking, and it dawned on me, man, he's beginning to share a lot of cool information. So this is a very informal, nonchalant discussion between us. And I recorded him for an hour and I told him, you mind if I record? And he go, oh, no, not at all. And so I hit the record button, and that's what you're going to see right now. This is bonus. This is extra credit. This was not pre-planned. We didn't have an agenda. We were just becoming friends and learning from each other, right? Getting to know each other better. And so this is a treat. You're in for a royal treat listening to this. So have a listen. It's about an hour. And it's incredible. He says there are aliens among us. He knows that. And so his information is, you're not going to get information like this from a direct source, hardly anywhere else, who was in the military and in the highest position a civilian could possibly have. That's who Major George Filer is. Now, Sunday, my live tomorrow, today's Saturday, April 26th. Sunday, Robert and I are going to also put the Major on a live stream, and we're going to share some more information and get his experiences that you just can't get anywhere else. We want to document this for humanity. It's that important. It's utterly incredible. This guy is the real deal. I am so honored and grateful to have him on my show, and for Robert Schief of Custodian File to help me co-host this. I'm just very grateful for this rare and very exciting, interesting learning opportunity. And of course, I want to share it with you, my audience. So enjoy the video, and I will also see you tomorrow on my live. Now, it's going to be at a different time. Check my thumbnail out. My time is with him. He can't do it tomorrow night. My normal standard operating time is at 6 o'clock. We are going to do it at noon tomorrow, Mountain Time in the United States, 11 on the West Coast. If you're in California, Nevada, etc., if you're on the West Coast, Oregon, Washington, it'll be at 11 o'clock in the morning, and it will be 2 o'clock in New Jersey when we're going to air this. So noon o'clock, 12 o'clock Mountain Time. So, and you are not going to want to miss this. We're just going to let him roll. We're going to get him going. We'll ask him a few questions. We'll talk about his website and his books, and he's going to share some information with us that you've never heard from anyone else. So spectacular opportunity. I'm thrilled for it. Enjoy this hour.
Whether that's true or not is nobody knows.
So this lady that you know said there's several different types of aliens that have been on the Earth?
That are on Earth, yeah. and that they, in her opinion, were, the reason that blacks are here, that they're from you might call it a black planet, but that.
Did she say some of them came from outer space, or?
Oh yeah, they're from outer space.
They come
and
from
their ancestors who left their, well, you might say, children here to grow up. I don't know how many, if they're children or adults, but there are our ancestors from different planets.
Our ancestors from the different planets. That's right. What she says.
But in other words, the ancestors of the black people are from a different planet that has black people on it. And we're from a different planet or several planets that have white people on it.
So the Nordics and the blue beings appear to be more friendly than the grays. Aren't the grays the ones doing the abducting of humans?
Pretty much, yes.
That was my understanding.
I've had abductees essentially fight them.
Yeah.
And to grab them by the neck and so on. And they usually disappear then.
Some of them control people with their minds.
Well, they do. Sometimes they'll control people.
That's fascinating. So the Nordics claim that they're our ancestors, and the blue beings in Clark's book claims they're our ancestors. So we might be several different human species from several different alien species.
Right.
That's astonishing. That is really intriguing. Yeah.
Whether it's true, I can't. I can only tell you that I have comments from aliens and abductees who were talking to aliens who claim different things, and the main reason the grays are here is to look more like us. They're what they're doing is taking both men and women and essentially having sex with them. Now, it's not necessarily sex in the way we think of sex. They use.
So they're trying to change their DNA.
Right. They're trying to look like us.
Do you think that there are some of them that are among us that have gotten to where they look a lot like us?
Yes.
Intermixing with us? That's what Danny Sheehan said in one of his recent interviews in the last 6 months. Aliens are among us. You think that, huh?
Well, what a lot of the women say is they will be abducted. They will be, the sperm of the alien is put in them.
And then they take the child when it gets to be so old.
Yeah, and fairly young, like 6 weeks after the.
Right. I've read accounts of that. So this isn't such a pleasant experience for them. Whereas Chris Bledsoe says they're very helpful.
Most women don't particularly like the grays, but they like their children, if that makes sense. And the children look partially like them, then partially alien. And we feel that it may take as many as 5 or 6 times of the sexual involvement to come out with somebody that's acceptable, in Walmart.
Yeah.
that looks enough like us that might look a little bit odd. And
there are odd looking humans out there. I mean,
well, sure.
That's kind of interesting. Yeah.
And most of them have telemetry. They can read what you're thinking in your mind.
Right. I've read that too. That's in Clark's new book.
And if you think in your mind, which I've done, and Paul Hellyer has done, that they're aliens.
Uh-huh. You're off the screen again. There you go. It's all good.
Good chance that they'll run away, or in some cases, communicate with you. My experience has been most of them run away.
Yeah.
Very, I've even chased them and couldn't catch them.
But
I said I've chased some people that I said in my mind they're aliens, and when I say that in my mind, I'm not speaking out loud, they'll run away, and I try to follow, and they get away. They like disappear.
Yeah. So you think the telecommunication is actual?
Yes.
It really does work that way. Does that work that way with all of them? The Nordics, the Blues, the Grays, or just some?
I'm pretty sure it works with the Nordics.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so this might be an area because, and this is my interpretation, so I really want your input on this because it's so fascinating. We as humans, like you and I and everybody else, we have more or less fallen behind in having strong minds in order to telecommunicate compared to the aliens. Do you think they're trying to build us up to get to where we can telecommunicate with them better?
Probably.
Yeah.
There's a group of children who are excessively smart.
Yes.
Almost too smart.
The autistic kids.
Yeah. One, by the way, is Musk.
Is what?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm not sure. I'm just saying that he is unusually clever.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before. Yeah.
Well, I think
he is smart. He's done a lot of reading too, though. At least he claimed he did earlier. That was several years ago on a TV show. He said, you've got to read a lot of books. And he said, and I mean, you've got to read a lot of books. It takes a lot of work, but yeah, he's
well, I'm just saying that he's unusually smart in many ways, you know, and the more you find out about him, the more you determine that, he's got like the 3 biggest computers in the world, all with AI operating.
You're off the screen. It's okay. It's all good.
I don't know if you're recording me or not, but in other words, he's doing lots of things that is way ahead of everybody else in the world, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just saying that some of these exceptionally smart people may have closer ties to the aliens, or they were taught how to do that. I mean, does the average American never thinks about having telemetry capabilities? At least I never did.
Right. Well, I taught myself how to read more or less before I ever got into school. My mom would sit with me and kind of help me through books and stuff. And at first it was all pictures, but I learned simple reading, not complex reading, but they had some books that I would keep looking through and learning more and more and more about. And when I got into school, I read through all of the Sally, Dick, and Jane books in the 1st grade level, the 2nd grade level, and the 3rd grade level in the 1st grade. And it really shocked my teachers. They didn't advance me a grade. I think my parents said, no, just let him advance. But I have been reading since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. So that's kind of, but I'm not claiming alien ancestry or nothing either. I just really like to read,
I think part of it is wanting to learn and doing, and
Yeah.
being encouraged to learn.
Yes, and my parents were good with that. Yeah, I've just always been naturally curious and wanting to know, well, what's that? What's on the other end of that? What's on the other side of that hill? What does this book say? That's a cool looking cover, or that's a great title. And so, as you can see, I never quit buying the silly books. Man, I could retire 10 years ago if I could cash out all these books I bought, but I wouldn't do it. I like having the information. Yeah, 10 years ago, Major, I don't think we could have had this conversation. This idea of the aliens being our ancestors and abducting people and wanting to look like us, and then other aliens who heal people and other aliens who, it appears, hurts people. There are some people who say that this is the great deception, that these things are demons. Have you ever had that impression with aliens about them?
Well, the Nordics could be human. At least I met someone, they didn't seem any different than anybody you'd see. Only they're probably better looking.
They are, yeah. That's what I've heard. The Nordics, you mean, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're better looking. Did you ever see any Nordics?
Yes.
Really? Where? Where were you?
In Maywood, Illinois.
No kid. Were you able to communicate with them? Did they talk? Did they use telepathy, or how did you see them?
Both. They would talk fairly normal,
English.
but they well, to be blunt about it, the woman was beautiful.
They say the blue people are quite beautiful, but they're very, very tall and skinny. They always describe them as like 8 to 9 feet tall. The Nordics aren't that tall, are they?
Now, the ones I met were not any taller than the population. I mean, there's some people that are a little bit taller.
Right.
But I would say the woman was like maybe 5'10" or something, 5'7", 5'9" or 10.
So did you meet them while you were in the military?
No, I met them when I was a child.
Oh, I do believe I remember you saying that. Yeah. You told us that, I think, in the first time we talked to you. Robert and I are going to talk a whole lot more with you. This to me is just, part of me says, yeah. And another part of me says, this is just nuts. It's hard to grasp. What do you say to skeptics when they say, nah, this guy's just spinning old stories? How can they not think that in some ways?
Well, they could. I'm just at the point where, I make a good income. I live in a nice house. I have a beautiful wife, nice son, and that I feel it's my responsibility to tell the world that they're here. And some people won't believe me, and some people think I'm crazy, and so on. I will say that I could load nuclear weapons on aircraft and fly them for the government, and that you have to be sane to be able to, do that.
Crazy doing that. So. It's just so different from our norm. I think that's where the culture shock comes from, is 8, 9 tall foot blue people. That's just...
It's the highest classification in the government.
Yes.
People don't realize that in the United States military, the only people that are given access to this information are 4-star generals. 3 stars aren't given this information. And the 4-stars can appoint, 3 or 4 other people under them to, look into it or whatever.
Yeah.
But you have to have that permission from a 4-star general, written, and the highest. You also have to have the highest clearances.
Right. Now you weren't okay. So were you a civilian or were you military when you had access to that 4-star general?
I was military. I was briefing them every day.
Yeah, every day. So what were you briefing him on? How were you getting your information? From who?
CIA, DIA, Army.
I see. The other government agencies there.
Air Force.
And they were telling you and you were relaying it to the general.
Right.
Did they know you were relaying it to the general?
Pardon me?
Did they know you were relaying that secret information to the general?
Yes. I mean, I would be second in charge of intelligence at 21st Air Force. Or I guess I'm about 4th in charge at Military Airlift Command. But I always had the rank. Now, the other part of this, by the way, you might as well know, I expected to be a colonel because I had these generals writing nice OERs, they call them, but performance reports. And I had a master's degree, and a good friend of mine and I had the same master's degree, and he's a 3-star general and I'm a major, which is below that, obviously. And I asked why I wasn't promoted. And they said, on your records, it says UFO in big letters, and you will never be promoted.
UFOs are what now?
That will keep you from being promoted. If you show an interest and see, I used to chase UFOs, and
yet it was allowed to be given to the 4-star generals, and they weren't demoted.
Right.
They were, of course, and they were already 4-star generals.
Right.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And
how fascinating.
Through the years, I have met a lot of important people who believe in UFOs and are like almost like a buddy, like you are.
Yeah.
And the most important person I met was Prince Philip, the Queen's husband.
Yeah.
I chased UFOs over England quite a few times.
In an aircraft?
Yeah.
In a jet? Yeah.
Well, we had 2 jet engines and 4 were his reciprocating engines. We had 6 engines on the aircraft.
So he would have been interested.
He had chased them himself. Prince Philip.
Really? Yeah.
He was a pilot. And
were you guys together, working together, chasing them, or was this different incidents?
Well, I was flying the tanker aircraft. And
that's right. Yeah.
We just finished refueling, and they said we have a UFO over Stonehenge area.
Right.
And we were about 100 miles from there, and they said,
you're leaning off screen again. It's okay. It's all right. No problem.
I have to watch it. I can move it over a little bit.
No, it's all good.
And,
I just want to make sure we hear you so that
I'm talking into the speaker is what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah, the microphone's over here on the computer.
Yeah. Any case, he knew from his radar people that we had chased the UFO, and he wanted to talk to us.
Sure. Now, was that okay with the United States military if he talked to you? Were they aware of it?
They were aware.
Because nowadays they keep they tell all the pilots, you're not telling anybody anywhere. Well, they used to. I think that's kind of being loosened.
it happened when Prince Philip asked to speak with my crew. That we were at a dinner in the officers club where there's about 100 officers, including the base commander, when Prince Philip asked to speak with my crew for chasing the UFO earlier in the week. My point is that the Air Force knew
Yeah.
that we had chased it, and they probably were surprised as I was that Prince Philip wanted to talk to us.
Yeah. Yeah.
We spent like an hour with him having dessert, basically, and cigars and a few drinks. And he was just like you are, you know, a nice guy, and just talked like he was one of us. And now some people claim, even the newspapers claim he has a high. Now he thinks he's really great, but he didn't indicate to us. In other words, he spoke to us like we're just other guys, you know.
Yeah. Did they ever attempt to try to shoot down the UFOs, or did you over there, or you were just following? Could you follow them?
Well, we could go like 450 miles an hour. And they can go, well, I've clocked them at over 100,000 miles an hour.
You think they can go that fast?
Oh, they do circles around us. People don't realize they can do almost anything they want. We're like,
that had to have shocked you.
well,
That had to have spooked you. Seeing something run circles around you and zip up ahead and then come back. And did they play with you? Did they tease you at all? I've heard that some UFOs are somewhat they play pranks or whatever.
yeah, they do play crash. They didn't do that with us, with my crew, but when we got near them, they went up into space. And it was, you see the shuttle taking off, or these rockets taking off.
Right.
Just like that, if not faster. And this was a huge UFO.
Yeah.
It looked, in the air, it looked like bigger than any ship I'd seen. And I've landed on aircraft carriers. The point is that it's a huge vehicle. And the radar said that it was a mile long. I don't know if the radar is accurate.
Was this over land or sea?
Over land.
Did anyone report that in any of the major news outlets, or did anyone else see this and take pictures or video and wonder, what is this thing that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of it. All I know is that London Control contacted us, and later on Prince Philip contacted us. I don't know if it was any. I didn't even look in the papers, to be honest with you.
So in relation, I'm going to show off my great fund of ignorance here, which is every day. In relation to an aircraft carrier, they're not a mile long, are they? How big is an aircraft carrier compared to a mile long UFO? How big is an aircraft carrier?
Oh,
a couple of 100 yards? 1,000 yards?
A couple 100 yards. I'd say like 300 yards.
Huge UFO.
Yeah.
It had to have weighed tons. Do you think it was made out of metal? Did it give you the impression that it was metallic?
Gave me the impression it was made out of stainless steel.
Oh, okay. Did it have wings and exhaust and all that? Or did it just...
No, it was a great big cigar.
See, that's what's so... This is what brings skeptics together, because cigars don't fly.
This one did.
Describe
This one did.
That's just mind-boggling.
No wings, no tail, no. Did have a few windows,
and yet it could go different directions, or did it just go straight?
When we saw it, it looked like it was hovering over the Stonehenge area.
Yeah, and how does something like that hover? That's just that.
I don't know if it's actually hovering or going 5 miles an hour or whatever, but
that's hovering. Yeah, with no visible means of propulsion or anything.
Right.
Wow.
And the interesting thing is, after I saw it, I took my daughter and my wife, and we drove down to Stonehenge. And we're in the, I don't know, what Stonehenge is.
Lean back over to the camera.
Stonehenge, the blocks of basically rocks, in a circular line. But as little known is just less than half a mile north of Stonehenge is what's called a cursus. And a cursus essentially is a word for like a horse racing outfit, like a track for horses.
Uh-huh.
Well, dug in the ground about 6 feet deep, a mile long, are two areas like this, about 100 and some feet wide, and 100 feet, 1,000, this mile long area, and round on both ends. Virtually the same shape and size of the UFO that we saw. That could have landed right there at some time in the past.
Wow.
Well, I looked up cursus, and they said they're something like 4,000 years old and are much older than the Stonehenge even. And there's a lot of them in Europe where these, I would call that a mothership,
right,
landed. And in the motherships are like 20 or 30 discs, and they launch them just like, carriers.
You think they launch them from this cursus?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? That's like an aircraft
from the mothership. I'm saying, but these appear to be the landing zones for these huge craft. And I'm not the only one that's seen them. Other pilots have seen them.
Have they seen the huge craft by that cursus?
Not necessarily by the cursor, but they see them in the air.
Because we know Stonehenge, it has certain alignments to the solstices and the equinoxes. We know they use it to look at the sky,
right,
stars and all that jazz. So do you think Stonehenge originally was supposed to be like a launch pad for the UFOs or anything, or is that just kind of silly speculation?
Well, it could be, but
could be a lot of things.
Actually, they claimed that there was a wooden covering to Stonehenge at one time.
I think I've read something like that. Yeah. I can't remember where, but yeah, there was some kind of a wood involved with it too. I mean, those stones are huge and heavy, and they're notched from the top. I mean,
they're from a long ways away.
It would have taken a tremendous crane to pick those stones up like that.
They're from 80 miles away or something.
Yeah, they were not quarried in that area.
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
Oh, the other thing is that in the area there are large, like tombs, but they're like burial grounds, and well, you might say the tombs are covered with dirt. And if you go into those tombs, and of course you'll see the bodies of some humans and some unknowns that look roughly like humans but have much larger heads.
No, really?
Yes.
Near Stonehenge?
Yes. Within a mile. You see, nobody puts all this stuff together.
Wow. Maybe my audience is going to laugh at my naivete and ignorance of that, but I don't think I've ever heard of that yet. That's remarkably interesting.
I don't know if anybody's heard of it.
You what?
The only one who had probably seen a huge UFO and knew what these are. These crystals are thought to be, like I'm saying, that horses would run. But in my opinion, that's not the reason they were there. Why would you dig a 6-foot hole going all the way around, which you could still see, by the way, into the ground? Well, why would you do it for a UFO? But it could have been water or something in it.
Well, we do know, thanks to Richard Dolan and his new series of books on USOs, they do like water. There are apparently craft who transmedium craft go under our oceans and come up and out of them.
Right.
So maybe, that 6-foot deep trench circle of water had something to do with.
I know dozens of people that have seen them underwater or coming out.
A lot of Navy personnel?
Yeah, or Coast Guard.
Or Coast Guard. Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
And I was down in the Florida Keys in Marathon, Florida, which is roughly the middle one. Key West on one side and Miami on the other, right in the middle. But the fishermen say that if you go out 50 miles towards Cuba, you're going to see strange things flying in the air.
So this, correct me if I'm wrong, this is kind of the area of the Bermuda Triangle.
Well, that's over
further, yeah. But I mean, do you think that has anything to do with UFOs? Do you know?
Well, they're seen there. People don't realize they're seen virtually everywhere. And I mean, from the North Pole to the South Pole.
Yeah.
And everywhere in between.
There's a brand new video out on the Antarctica UFOs, come to think of it. It just showed up on YouTube a couple days ago. Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, they think a lot of them enter the Earth's atmosphere at the poles. It's less dangerous, from what I understand.
Oh, interesting. So let me ask you a question, and this is speculation, unless, of course, you know something that you can say about it. Do you think the UFOs travel between Earth and Mars? I mean, there's speculation now that we want to go to Mars and all. I don't know why, but it's a one-way trip. But I don't know what we'll accomplish. But we want to go to Mars. Do you think the aliens have gone back and forth between Earth and Mars for any reason that you know of?
Well, I don't know of anyone who's told me that. I'm just speculating that they certainly can in a comparatively short time.
That's spectacular. Okay, let me ask you another personal question on something that, I mean, and I know we're speculating still, but I would like your input on this, because this issue has been brought up by one of my very favorite YouTubers, the Angry Astronaut, and he is sensationally informative. This guy is really sharp. He had a podcast, a video, I think it's been a month ago or so, where he said the moon is not really a moon. It's like a UFO base.
Well,
It's artificial. Have you heard that?
I don't know if it's artificial. I
What?
do know that I became fairly close friends with Mitchell, I guess.
Oh, Edgar, yeah.
Edgar Mitchell.
I met him in Las Vegas one time.
Well, in any case,
What did he say about it?
well, he introduced me to go on BBC
Oh,
and said, listen to what Major Filer said. And I talked, for 15 minutes or so. And I went back in the room behind where he was, and he and I were alone. And I said, well, Edgar, I just talked about, aliens and UFOs and all that stuff. I know all about them. What's your opinion about them? And he said, well, you have to understand that we signed a contract with NASA not to reveal information about UFOs, that kind of thing. And I said, well, what about the moon? Did you see anything up there? He said, well, I can't tell you what I saw, but I can tell you that all my friends who went to the moon saw UFOs and structures on the moon implying bases.
on the dark side?
He didn't say on the dark side.
He just said there's bases there.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, he didn't say anything like that to me. I met him at a Universalist church for a lecture. He lectured for about an hour and a half, but afterwards, when we met him, he was telling a lady directly in front of me. I was so shy, I just basically shook his hand and said, thank you for visiting the moon and all. But the lady in front of us asked him, she said, okay, do you think aliens really do live? And he said, oh, we know there's aliens. We know there's UFOs. There's no question about it. And we overheard him say that. And I thought, I told my wife later, I said, that's a pretty straightforward, bold. I mean, this is an astronaut who went to the moon. And my oldest brother said that when the first Apollo flight went up, they called headquarters and said, Houston, we've got visitors. And they asked him, they go, what? What are you talking about? And he said, we have craft flying us to the moon. They're escorting us to the moon. And the ground crew immediately said, shut up, stop talking. Don't say anymore. Call it Santa Claus. And my oldest brother told me that. And he said every Apollo flight had an escort. And I don't know if that's documented or if it's so top secret that we're not allowed to know that or whatever, but I don't know how my brother got that information. But he told me that when I was a kid, he said, oh, we've known about UFOs for a long time. And they do inhabit the moon. Fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. This is so much fun to have a direct living reference. I'm just so appreciative and grateful that you can keep sharing your information. Now, Robert and I are going to interview you. I've been recording this for the last few minutes. Hope that's okay, because this is good information. I didn't record any of the first part of our conversation, though. We were just getting acquainted. But so we're going to have you on Sunday at noon my time, 2:00 your time. I'm going to look at your website. I think your website's fantastic.
You can, take pictures off there or whatever that you could show up on the screen, so to speak.
Yeah, and I'll put links to it and all that. Yeah, we'll talk about the books that are on the website mentioned. There's books about you and there's books by you, and we're going to have a good conversation. I think. I just think that's this is just so overwhelming to me that we can have this kind of a conversation and feel free and open to share it with millions of other people. Now, my oldest brother couldn't do that. He worked for the United States Post Office, And man, he couldn't talk about it to hardly anybody, but
Well,
now we openly discuss it.
It's above top secret, you know. See,
Yeah.
in the government, things are classified, and the higher they go, the less likely you are to talk about it.
Right. Well, yeah. Those days are changing somewhat.
Well,
there's
even now there's still more. Well, it's coming out. Apparently, Trump has given a certain amount of. They can say a certain amount. This is what it amounts to. I don't know what. I haven't seen any document that said that, but that's what I feel. When he
scoot over again,
he left office, he gave instructions and said that
Major, you're off the screen.
In any case, when Trump left office the first time, he let instructions that UFOs could be discussed and so on. And then he also said he was going to release information, on Kennedy's assassination and all that. And he has.
Yeah, it's understandable that he's focusing on that more at this point. That's, I get that. It's all good. But I do hope the UFO stuff also follows.
I'd like him to come out,
Yeah, I hope it comes out. It needs to. There's so many more of us now who are beginning to look at the skies for ourselves, thanks to the Bledsoes and Jake Barber's stuff, and Ross Coulthart's been talking about it a lot. Now there's several of us who are getting the equipment to go looking for ourselves. I'm going out tomorrow night with a friend who claims he has seen UFOs in my home area. And I've asked him, I've said, would you please take me out UFO hunting? We're going out tomorrow. So I'm excited about this. So I'll tell you all about it Sunday.
You get it, put it on the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I that's what I'm hoping. Yeah. So
as God is my witness, I took this picture. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I've told my audience, and I have criticized other YouTube folks for not putting up really good evidence and all. I want it real, and I'm not going to mamby-pamby. If it's not valid enough, I'm going to call it out. If it is good, I'm going to say so. But the caveat is that doesn't mean I'm right. So if I can be shown with evidence that what I thought was real is not, I'm happy to change my mind. There's no question about that. But this is what makes your story so intriguing. You are still a living witness of all this.
I try to get someone who's made statements about UFOs that are reasonably well known, as a person.
Right.
And they're saying UFOs exist, President Carter and Reagan and different ones have admitted that they are there. And that CIA people and admirals and all the rest of it, that all these people aren't lying.
Aren't or are?
Are not lying.
Are not lying. Got it straight from the living witness who gave a 4-star general daily briefings on UFOs. Thank you for saying that on my show. That's very interesting.
We only briefed about UFOs once every month or so when something would happen. But I mean, we did bring that up but it would be along with, and there's fighting in Vietnam or, it's like a regular news broadcast.
Oh,
if you watch David Muir.
Oh, it wasn't UFOs every day, but you would include the UFOs. Okay, I misunderstood you earlier then. Okay. Yeah, but it's still brought out, and the generals knew.
Oh, and if you say, well, what kind do you mean? Well, I would probably pick up the Tehran, Iran, where 2 F-4s chased a UFO and were seen by, thousands of people in Tehran and the area. In other words, not just 2 people that have seen UFOs, there's thousands. And in MUFON, we get roughly 800 people a month.
Yeah.
Every month.
It's almost over.
for the last 50 years, you know. Or,
Yeah, that's almost over. I'm going to add my voice to that if they'll show up.
right. Well, I hope they do. Sometimes it helps to ask them to show up.
I do.
Sometimes they're listening.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'll say it here with this one-on-one interview with you. The other night I was out imaging. I've got a C-star telescope that takes pictures of galaxies and nebula and all. And I was imaging one of the nebula. And I saw what I thought were orbs, but I did not have my night vision binoculars. And it infuriated me. So because I left them home because I was just out there for a quick imaging session, I grabbed my cell phone and started taking video. Now with the cell phone, I could not get a sharp picture. I don't care who people are when they say, yeah, I can take a video with the cell phone. Not at night, you can't. Not a very good one. At least I couldn't. And my cell phone's pretty good. So I have video images of what I think were orbs. And I'm going to hold on to those until I can get better images of orbs or craft, hopefully tomorrow, with either my Nikon D7100 or with my night binoculars. Then I'll have a comparison contrast. Here's what they look like with a cell phone. Here's what they look like with a good camera. Here's what they look like with a night vision binocular. So technically speaking, I think in all reality, I do believe I've seen orbs. I just don't have a good enough video to bop it out there just yet. I'm going to use that as a comparison contrast because I scream at other people who take videos of orbs and stuff, and they're too fuzzy, they're too shaky, they're too far away. And so, you know, if I show something like that, I'll get the same treatment, justifiably so. I was guilty. I did not take my best camera with me, but I'm never going to make that mistake again.
Well, the UFOs have a propulsion system that tends to mess up the atmosphere around them, which tends to mess up your camera picture.
They really do have an energy field around them or something. Is that the anti-gravity thing they do?
Well, we don't know exactly, but it's too many pictures have been taken that are, you know, fuzzy, that something's going on with the atmosphere.
Yeah, that's my suspicion. Yeah.
And I think when you get a good picture, as they happen to be, stands basically still, you know.
Right. Well, we're kind of in a catch-22. If you take a fuzzy video or a fuzzy picture, no, that's too fuzzy. That won't be good enough. That's not real. And if you get a crystal clear picture, they're going to say, well, that's just computer created, CGI.
Well, that's true, too.
So, you know, what do? You just got to do your best. And yeah, this is fun. This is really fun.
Well, there's a lot of UFO pictures taken before computers, if you know what I'm saying. There's pictures that are 100 years old.
They were pretty clear. Yeah. Yeah, there's some
saying that
Nolan in his book shows several. But they dismiss those too. So, I mean, it's not like we're trying to, and I agree with my audience members when they say, look, dude, just ignore the critics because they just want to criticize. You're doing it right. Go out and get your own evidence. Go out and get your own video, etc. Have your own visitation, whatever. But I don't want the Greys to come and abduct me. And I'm saying that when I'm trying to look, I'd rather be visited by the Nordics or the Blues.
Right. Well, even when they abduct you, they usually bring you back in a couple hours.
I'm not interested in being abducted at all. I'm just not. But you're right. They do bring you back for the most part. Yeah.
As far as we know.
So far as we know, yeah. Maybe they clone themselves and that's a UFO guy taking the place. Is Travis Walton the real Travis Walton now, see? Boy, there's a conspiracy for you, huh?
Right. Well, part of the problem is, okay, you have a sighting. So you show the picture, but it's pretty hard to write a book about the sighting. I mean, you got 1 or 2 pages.
Yeah. Yeah.